well, we're not going to be taking a look at. We're going to be doing another movie review. So as you can see here, we have the Dark Crystal right here. So we're going to be talking about the Dark Crystal. Dark Crystal, one of my favorite movies of all time, for nostalgia reasons. I'm pretty sure that all the movies that I talk about, especially Nine, is very nostalgic to me. This is also very nostalgic. 2001 is a recent movie that I kind of grew really attached to. But Dark Crystal is for nostalgic reasons. I watched Dark Crystal when I was very young. My dad put it on the TV, and I don't really remember it that much of watching it, but I do remember a couple of scenes. The beginning where the Emperor is dying, and when Kira shoots the crystal bat and it lands in the lake. That's the only thing that I ever remember from Dark Crystal. And then recently, just recently, I picked up Dark Crystal on Blu-ray here. And then I have also watched, Dark Crystal: Age of Resistance, which is a really great TV show on Netflix. So this isn't going to be like a normal movie review. I'm just going to be talking about like things that I like about it, things that I don't like about it, and just why it's a really great, awesome puppet fantasy movie. Probably one of the best puppet fantasy movies ever, besides Labyrinth. So let's get into the Dark Crystal. So if you've never heard of the Dark Crystal, basically what it is a Jim Henson film. Jim Henson is the one who created the Muppets and also directed Labyrinth, which is another Jim Henson movie. But Dark Crystal is completely filled with puppets. There are no humans in it. Unlike Labyrinth, where there are humans in it, this one's completely no humans whatsoever, just puppets. And Jim Henson wanted to tell a epic fantasy story with puppets, no humans involved at all. So then we have Dark Crystal. But Dark Crystal is basically, it's really confusing if you never watched it. And Dark Crystal: Age of Resistance is a prequel to Dark Crystal, and I'll explain why there's prequels to begin with. Basically, the plot of Dark Crystal is that there's this magical world called Thra, and Thra is basically dying. Life is basically shriveling away and dying, and basically there's this magical crystal which is like the heart of Thra, and basically the crystal cracked and it's corrupted because of these little guys here. These are called Skeksis, and so basically these guys were in control of the crystal, and they did experiments on the crystal that made the crystal crack and also corrupted. And basically we see at the beginning that they want the crystal so they can become young again and to live forever. But since the crystal's cracked, they can't really do much. So that's why they decided to create essence, where they would drain creatures of Thra to gain their essence, so they can become more to live forever. But other than that, that's the beginning of the movie. But our main character is Jen. He is a Gelfling, and basically he thinks that he's the last Gelfling in Thra, and basically he lives with these creatures called the Mystics. And basically the Mystic, that's basically like his dad, tells him that he needs to find the crystal shard so Thra can become one again, so it's not dying. And then Jen's dad basically passes away, and basically Jen sets out on this epic quest to find the crystal shard, which she does from a being called Agra, and she has basically been on Thra since the beginning of time, basically since Thra was created. And basically she gives him the crystal shard, and then we later find out that that there is another Gelfling called Kira, and she is a girl, and she has wings, obviously, because girls gotta have wings. And basically it's kind of like a romance a little bit. There's a little tight romance in there, and basically they together need to go to the Crystal Castle and plant that crystal shard right into the crystal, and everything will become one again. But later down the line, we find out that the Skeksis don't want the Gelfling to come to heal the crystal again, because they don't want that to happen, because they're bad guys, obviously. and they will ruin their power. And basically, Chamberlain right here, these two are Chamberlain, one of my favorite characters in Dark Crystal, but we'll get to that later. Basically, he gets banished because he wanted to challenge the Gartham Master, which is another Skeksis, to become Emperor, because the Emperor in the beginning of the movie died, and Chamberlain was next to the throne, but all the other Skeksis didn't think that he could, handle the challenge of Emperor. So he basically challenges the Gartham Master to trial by stone, which is them just hitting a giant rock with swords, and whoever breaks the rock in half will become Emperor, because the puppets, they don't have a lower torso, so they can't actually duke it out and fight. So basically, Chamberlain loses obviously, and then he gets his ass banished. And then later on down the line, he basically kind of slowly but surely stalks his way with Kira and Jen, basically slowly but surely following his way behind. And then later out, we find out that there was a prophecy that Gelfling would destroy all Skeksis, and Chamberlain wants them to come to the Crystal Castle with him and to make peace with Skeksis and Gelfling, which Kira tells Chamberlain to basically no, and then they run off. And then later down the line, they come to the Crystal Castle, and Chamberlain basically shows up again and almost murders Jen. And basically, once he finds Kira, he takes a hold of Kira and basically captures her and brings her to the new Emperor, which is the Gartham Master, and says, "Hey, I'm not banished anymore because I found Gelfling, and so here's a Gelfling." And he's like, "All right, sure." So basically, Chamberlain is now back in power once again. And basically, later down the line, we find out that the Mystics are coming to the Crystal Castle as well. They have to travel a very long way to get to the Crystal Castle. And then afterwards, Jen finally plants the Crystal Shard into the crystal with a little bit, side plots in here and there. And then we find out that the Mystics and the Skeksis are one and the same. They basically collide into one. And basically, they become the Uru. Well, not the Uru, but I can't remember what they're called, but they're basically like tree aliens, which basically crash landed on Earth, and not on Earth, but on Thra, and basically, kind of did some experiments with the crystal, and then later on, when the crystal shattered, it basically divided the tree aliens into the Skeksis and to the Mystics, and the Mystics are their good half, and the Skeksis are their bad half, and the Mystics want to become themselves again, which they want to collide themselves with the Skeksis again, but the Skeksis didn't want that. So that's basically what happened. And then, in other words, Thra is once healed again, even though that there's three people that I have in it now: Algra and Jen and Kira, and some other creatures that we meet along the way. So that's the plot of the Dark Crystal. I kind of went off a bunch of different directions, but I try to keep it as whole as possible. Like I said before, no script, so this is what you're getting. So yeah, that's the plot. So I've watched the Dark Crystal, and basically what I like about the Dark Crystal is that it's a really good fantasy story. I like the fantasy element of it, and I also like, because as you know me, I like to make plush videos, and I like how this film also kind of introduced me of, you don't need humans or actors to portray a story. You just need puppets and some, just little objects here and there. Well, you still need actors, obviously. I don't know why I said that, but you could just use non-human characters to convey a story, which is awesome. So that is, Dark Crystal is a huge inspiration for me to continue making plush videos. So thank you, Jim Henson, for creating this amazing movie. And also thank you to Brian Froud. Give a big shout out to him. He is the creature designer and costume designer for the Dark Crystal, and Dark Crystal Age Resistance. So that's also a huge inspiration, because I like making creature designs and, not costumes, but just creature designs in general. And the Skeksis design especially is a really great creature design, just like the aliens, Xenomorphs. These two are near head to head, because they have such great design, so weird looking but also awesome at the same time. But like I said before at the beginning about, why are there so many prequels? There are prequel comics uh, and the TV show. But basically, why are there prequels? Well, mostly because there is a lot of, well, not a lot of plot holes, but there are plot holes in Dark Crystal that don't make a lot of sense. So when you watch it the first time, you don't really get enough answers out of it because it kind of leads on mysteries here and there, and then basically after you're done watching the movie, you're like, that doesn't make any sense. Well, what about this prophecy? How come it kind of switched directions? That doesn't make any sense. Like what? So basically, it kind of ruins the experience for me just a tiny way because I haven't read the prequel comics, but I have seen and read up about the different prequels and also Age of Resistance. So when I watched Age of Resistance and Dark Crystal, I'm like, wait, that doesn't make sense. That also doesn't make sense. Wait, why the hell does anything not make sense? So it kind of ruins the experience for me. But other than that, really great fantasy world. We can all agree that Dark Crystal is a really great fantasy world with a lot of characters and a lot of creatures in it. But the story is a little lacking just a tiny bit because of those plot holes. So I'm glad that they decided to make the prequel comics and the prequel TV show. But let's talk about Dark Crystal, Age of Resistance as well. We're going to talk about that as well. Dark Crystal Age of Resistance is also it's also on Netflix. So if you really want to watch Dark Crystal Age of Resistance, please go right ahead. It's a great TV show. And then you can watch Dark Crystal after that, or read the comics and Dark Crystal Age of Resistance, and then Dark Crystal. But Dark Crystal Age of Resistance is the prequel where we kind of get a little bit more about, there's a lot more Gelfling, obviously, and we find out that the Skeksis, this is the reign of the Skeksis before Thra was completely dying at this point. Thra, there is still luscious greens, and there are still creatures living around, and we also see that the Skeksis were, Agra basically trusted the Skeksis with the crystal, and basically the Skeksis just did a lot of experiments on the crystal, and basically nobody actually knows about the Skeksis, experiments on the crystal until one Gelfling named Riend finds out that the Skeksis basically drained his girlfriend, and then that's how they become, how they can drain Gelfling and other creatures to gain their essence. They want Gelfling because Gelfling are the most closest creature to Thra, but since that they kind of drained all the Gelfling, and that's why in Dark Crystal they just need the sun to basically heal them, but the sun never actually works. So that's why they use the essence. But since all the Gelfling are pretty much dead, they can't really do much about it. So yeah. But what's really sad about Dark Crystal Age of Resistance that there's only one season. There was supposed to be a second season, but it got canceled for many different reasons. I'm not going to get into it right now because it's just a lot of reasons to it. And it's also kind of sad because that was a really great TV show. I really enjoy rewatching it. I've actually been rewatching it, and I'm also going to rewatch Dark Crystal as well. But that's a really great TV show. I really enjoy that TV show. If you have not watched Dark Crystal Age of Resistance, please go watch it. It's a really great story. There are still puppets in it. They wanted to make Dark Crystal Age of Resistance a animated TV show instead. But why people like Dark Crystal in the first place was because of the puppets. So if you made it animated, it wouldn't really make much sense. But what you gonna do? So yeah, Dark Crystal is also puppets. And then the prequel comics, like I said before, I haven't actually read it, but I do know a tiny bit of it. That basically how the tree aliens crashed down on Thra and basically split in half, and different things with Agra and all that stuff. So that's basically Dark Crystal and the prequels. So let's talk about the characters. What I really like about, not just because it's fantasy and not because it's an amazing world, but the characters are what I really look for in a story. I really like characters, and I also like the world that they create. So Dark Crystal is a really good thing for me because it has a nice world to it and nice characters to it. So it kind of leads you on to, I like this character. I want to see more of this character. I like this world. I want to see more of this world, blah, blah, blah. So let's talk about the characters. Let's talk about Dark Crystal first. Jen and Kira are great protagonists. They're fine protagonists, I should say. They're not great protagonists. They're fine protagonists. It's a little bit bland because there's only one. Jen thinks that he's the only uh, Gelfling left, and then he meets Kira, which they kind of have a romance between there and here. But they're not. I wouldn't say they're my favorite protagonists ever. Jeez, what the hell was that noise? They're not my favorite protagonists ever. They're fine protagonists, but what I really like, the characters that I really like are the Skeksis, because they are so weird, and there's a lot of backstory to them, and there's a lot of mystery behind them. Which was the Gelfling, you can kind of see like, oh, he's the last one. The Skeksis must have killed them off, so you can kind of fill in the holes. But for the Skeksis, you're like, how did they take control of the crystal? How, like, what's going on? Why did they just combine with the mystics to become one? Like, there's so many mystery behind the Skeksis. So my favorite character in Dark Crystal is, of course, Chamberlain. I would like to. He is the main antagonist of the film, but he's also kind of like the main character in a way, because when you first open the film, you don't meet with Jen. You meet him down the line. When the film opens up, you see the Skeksis, and then you see that you can kind of see a lot of Chamberlain. You see that he's a cunning Skeksis. He wants to have power. And then you can also see that nobody really takes him seriously because, like I said before, he was supposed to be, after the Skekso, which is the Emperor, after he was supposed to die, Chamberlain was supposed to take control and become Emperor, but none of the Skeksis actually took him seriously, so they banished him because of that. But later down the line, you can also see that he's a very cunning, because he's also cunning, and he's also very creepy in a way, because he's also following Ken and Jira on their journey, slowly but surely creeping up behind them. And he also saves them a couple of times. He saves them from the Gartham attack on the Podling village, which is Kira's home, basically. Garthams are like these really powerful, bulky creature soldiers, which we find out in Age of Resistance that they are two creatures combined into one. They're basically like a Frankenstein type thing that the scientists made, and basically the Garthams basically attack Kira's home, and Chamberlain basically saves them in a way, and then they run off and all that, because and then we also find out that basically Chamberlain didn't want to make peace with them. Well, actually, to be honest, it's kind of hard to tell, because you can see that he's very enthusiastic about making peace with Skeksis and Gelfling. Because all the other Skeksis that we find out later down the film, that they are afraid of Gelfling, because the Gelfling almost killed them. Because in Age of Resistance, that we see that the Gelfling basically realized what the Skeksis were doing with the crystal and essence and all that stuff, so they rised up and tried to fight the Skeksis, and they killed two of them. Basically killed one, and basically Chamberlain killed the general, but they find out that the Gelfling can fight back against the Skeksis, because everybody thought that the Skeksis were really powerful and immortal, basically. They're basically immortal. That's what everybody thought. So they're basically powerful. So nobody thought that they could actually beat them. So when the Gelfling find out that they could actually kill the Skeksis, then the Skeksis basically were cowards and they ran off, and that's why they created the Gartham. And that's why they basically killed off all the Gelfling and drained their essence. So when Chamberlain brought Kira into the castle and was like, "Hey, I got this Gelfling. Let's go drain her for more essence and stuff. Let's get back to the things we were." And all the other Skeksis were afraid because of Gelfling, because of Kira, because she is a Gelfling, and they basically know what happened before, because they basically almost killed them. But I'm pretty sure that after that, Kira and Jen didn't trust Chamberlain about making peace. I'm pretty sure that he kind of changed his mind a little bit, because afterwards, when Kira and Jen go into the Crystal Castle to try to put the shard back in the crystal, Chamberlain basically corners them and basically says, "Let's make peace again." But basically, they kind of fight back, so Chamberlain almost kills Jen and then takes Kira. But I'm pretty sure that he didn't want to make peace with the Skeksis and the Gelfling. He just wanted them to follow them so they can bring them back to the castle and drain them. That's basically what he wanted. But I just really like Chamberlain because he's such a cunning and like kind of. I really like scummy, well not scummy, but scheming, cunning creatures and characters. So Chamberlain is one of my favorites because of that, and he actually has the most character. Just like how in 2001, he basically is like the main character in a way, because he has so much character than the other characters. So that's why I like Chamberlain. And also in Age of Resistance, the Chamberlain is. I always know that Chamberlain's my favorite character, but when I heard that Simon Pegg was voicing Chamberlain in Age of Resistance, Simon Pegg basically is another one of my favorite actors. He voices Buck in Ice Age. So Buck is another Ice Age character that I really like. And he's done like Shaun of the Dead and all that stuff, which is another great zombie movie, but not going to get into that. So that's why I just like Chamberlain, because he's such a cunning and scheming villain, but he's also voiced by Simon Pegg in Age of Resistance, so, win-win scenario. But let's talk about the Mystics. The Mystics are the wisest and basically the most good out of everything. But we don't really see much character in them. We only see like one focused mystic in the original film, which is basically, come on, I can't remember his name, but he's basically like Jen's dad, like I said at the beginning, and good stuff like that. But we don't really see much of the Mystics in the first film, but in Age of Resistance we see a lot more. We see the Archer, and we see the Wanderer, and I can't remember what else, but I'm pretty sure we find more. But so it's great to have those mystic characters that we can, see more of. And Aughra, which is basically kind of like Yoda in a way. She speaks all weird, but she's also very wise and also kind of awesome in a way. She kind of tells the Skeksis like, bro, kind of messed up, man, but like in a badass way, you know what I'm saying? So the Aughra, like I said, she's been around since the beginning of Thra, and basically entrusted the Skeksis with the crystal, which was a bad idea. But in Age of Resistance, I think that Age of Resistance has the best characters than Dark Crystal, the original film. I know, shocker, I like Dark Crystal, but I think that Age of Resistance has the better characters because there's a lot more episodes and a lot more stuff that you can do with the characters for character development. I like Rian because he's the main character and stuff like that. But he's not a dumb, stupid protagonist. He's like legit wants to help everybody. He knows that the Skeksis are draining Gelfling, and he wants everybody to believe him, but nobody does because basically the Skeksis are the lords of the crystal, and they're basically like God to the Gelfling. So it's basically kind of like atheism in a way, but we're not getting into that because whatever. But other than that, we have Deet, which is a female Gelfling, which is kind of a love interest for Rian. And then we also have Hub, which is a podling. Podlings are like kind of the low-ranking creatures of Thra. They're basically like used as slaves or peasants. And Hub wants to become a guard for the Old Maudra, which is basically like the queen of Old Gelfling. But there's no podling guard, so he kind of follows along with Deet and helps her get to. They both want the same goal. They both want to go to the Old Maudra because Deet finds out that there's this thing called the Darkening, which is affecting the creatures of Thra because of the crystal shattering. So that's basically since the crystal is cracked, basically, like I said before, the crystal is the heart of Thra, so if it cracks and it's corrupted, then the creatures become corrupted, and the Darkening basically becomes one. So, And then we also meet Gurjin, which is, a side character, which is Rian's best friend. We find out that he has a sister, and basically, all that. So side characters, there's a lot of side characters in this. I don't want to get into it because those are just too much, and I don't even remember most of their names. But really like Dark Crystal. Great fantasy world. Age of Resistance, great fantasy world and great TV show, and it's also on Netflix. So if you have Netflix, please go watch it. And also, please pick up the Dark Crystal so you can watch it for yourself. And also, read the prequel comics. I haven't read the prequel comics. I need to find those prequel comics and read them for myself. But other than that, this is the basically kinda movie review of the Dark Crystal and Age of Resistance and stuff like that. Kinda. And I can also give some reasons why Dark Crystal is the best fantasy movie of all puppet fantasy movie of all time. So I gave some reasons about that as well. So but that's gonna be do it for me, guys. There's nothing too much that I have to say about the Dark Crystal. I pretty much said that already needed to be said. So I'm also gonna be doing movie reviews. Not my main thing. I'm gonna be doing more of them. So if you guys want to see more of those movie reviews, then stick around because I'll probably upload them in a month, or later down the line whenever I decide to feel like making a movie review. But other than that, I'm gonna do it for this. This is basically done for me, guys. So like, comment, subscribe. I don't care what you do, but you guys know what time it is. So, bye, guys.